Welcome to Metaphysical Meanderings with Master Psychic Lana Duncan Hartgraves. Lana has been a practicing psychic for over 25 years and has the gifts of clairaudience, clairvoyance, and clairsentience. She is an empath, a medium, as well as a pet communicator and health advisor. If you want to know more about what she does, check her out at www.enchantedskye.com.
Hey there, Kent. How you doing?
Hello. Welcome back to the studio.
I haven't been in the studio in a while. You guys know I'm driving about an hour and a half one way to get here, and I live in Wisconsin, so I'm traveling back and forth. But I thought I would come in because I have a special guest, and I'm really, really excited. For anybody that's on TikTok, TikTok is the only social media that is not on StreamYard. So if you went to my YouTube, you went to my anything else, you will see me live because I have a special guest. If you want to, go to 216thenet.com or go to my YouTube, lanasenchantedskye, and you can see this. We have a guest, and I am so honored to have him. I was so shocked, honestly, that he said he would come. I was like so honored. So his name is Archbishop Jonathan Blake. I know you're an author. Tell me a little bit more about yourself so that people know more about you. How are you?
It's lovely to come and join you. And hello to everybody that's coming in and watching. It's quite difficult to sort of give a potted version of my life because it's been a life of many chapters and extraordinary experiences, really. It's been a journey of going probably like 10 lifetimes, 20 lifetimes in one. That's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah. So I see some things, and I'm going to so you've met Mother Teresa and you knew Mother Teresa?
That was in the beginning days. When I first became a Christian, I got very impassioned that Christianity was a concern for the poor. And so when I was at university, I gave up all my worldly goods. I slept on the floor at the university. I refused to sleep in a bed. I was a pain in the neck to all the other students who wanted to drink and be hedonistic. And I was like the preacher in the college saying, no, we shouldn't be doing this sort of thing. And it led me anyway to go out to India to work in Calcutta with Mother Teresa.
Okay, that's awesome. So I know, isn't it awesome? So how was it working with Mother Teresa? Explain it. I'm in awe of all this.
The energy had to be incredible.
The energy had to be incredible. Explain. You guys, I'm in awe. Like, talk to me a little bit. Explain what it was like. What kind of person, was she really when you knew her? To explain some stuff for us.
Well, it was obviously a life-changing experience because I'd come from a relatively sheltered background. Went out to hitchhiked across to India, which was very rash and reckless of me. Came across all sorts of terrible adventures, tear gassed in Iran and machine gun curfew in Afghanistan. Oh my goodness me! Went through the lot. Got to Calcutta, which was like another planet, another world compared to what I'd known. I was terrified. And then going to the home for the dying and seeing sights which were just beyond imagination, so desperate and horrific, the conditions, what people were going through, and the mercy and the love that was reaching out to try and help them in their plight. It was just totally mind-blowing, earth-shattering and life-changing. And obviously working with the Brothers of Charity, the Sisters of Charity, the missionaries, and meeting Mother Teresa was all very, very a fundamentally significant experience in how I grew as a person and my understanding of the world and my call to ministry in my life.
Okay.
So you are the Archbishop of the Open Episcopal Church.
That's
Am I
right.
saying that correctly?
The Open Episcopal Church. It's a small church with a big heart, as we say. You can look it up on Wikipedia. There's an entry there that gives you a sort of a short potted history of it. But it's got a vision. It's got a vision to, in a sense, get away from the clutter of denominationalism and develop Christianity and try and get back to where it begins, that amazing love that swept the world in Jesus, in his concern for people, in his love, his healing, his doing away with religious humbug. That's what we want to try and focus on.
So explain to me, all right. So the reason I am having you on here is I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, I'm a little bit different. I have a little bit different attitude, but Jesus came to me and I had a podcast on this. And the reason I'm so drawn to you is everything he said to me, you are saying every single thing.
Gosh.
And so that's why I want you on here, because I think that people have this impression, this right wing, here in the country, some of the right, more, conservative people, tell me some of your beliefs. I know as an open Episcopal, what is your viewpoint on like people? Jesus told me he didn't care people were gay. It wasn't his point. He didn't care. He didn't care that people were pregnant and had an abortion. He was worried about people here. That was some of the stuff he told me. So what is some of the things that you guys, what's part of your tenet?
Well, I mean, the strange thing is Christians are often so homophobic. They say they follow Jesus Christ. They call themselves Christian after Christ. And Jesus never said a thing against LGBTQI plus people. Never, not a thing, not a little murmur. And what Jesus did say was, don't point the finger, don't judge, don't condemn, get on with your own life. There's enough to sort out in your own house, sort that out, leave other people alone. God created gay people. God wants gay people to find love, stability, form lovely relationships and families, and be a blessing to the community and the world. Awesome.
Some of the other things that I saw, you said one that really hit home for me. I watched all his TikToks, and I've been watching some of your social media, and it hit me home that he put something about Jesus hated religious people. And so explain that a little more to everybody, because it blew my mind, because it's true. And explain that a little bit more.
Well, I think Jesus comes along. He loves people with this unconditional, extravagant, amazing, generous love. And people are blown away by it. Lives are changed by it. And the religious people can't stand it. It gets right up their nose, irritates them completely. They're wanting to come and put burdens and obstacles and difficulties in people's way, make religion a pain in the neck and life, in a sense, denuding. And Jesus comes along and has got a totally different approach. So they harass him. They victimize him. They try and trap him. They plot against him. They call him of the devil, a blasphemer, son of Satan, a snake. They call him all the bad things. And Jesus just resists them completely, doesn't want to be involved in the religious people, can't stand the religious people. He just wants to be with ordinary people. And in the end, the biggest hit is that it was the religious people who killed him. They didn't see God. They didn't see love. They were so up themselves. They killed God when God came. Madness.
Well, a lot has changed. Not really.
Exactly.
What I thought was interesting, because I view the same way, and I've said this, that I'm kind of like the religion of Lana, because I have my own thoughts, and I encourage other people to do the same. And you made the comment to me, and I because it hit home to me, and it was because I felt the same way, that it doesn't matter if it's Buddha, it doesn't matter if it's Muhammad, it doesn't matter if it's Jesus. Nobody cares but getting to God to be the best person that you can and give love to others. And that was something that really hit home on one of your videos, and that's why I had to have you on. I just had to have you on. And it's so funny, because as a tarot reader, and I practice Kabbalah, I understand the Kabbalah tenets, and also I'm a little bit of all of it thrown in. And I kept pulling a King of Wands over and over because of cards, cards. And me personally, all the tarot cards are, to me, is psychological. I don't believe that there's any magic to them. It's kind of throwing back to you what you already know. And I kept going, who's this guy? Who's this guy? And it was a Two of Cups too. I said, well, I'm meeting somebody. And then you popped in, and it was just the weirdest, because one of my friends said, oh my God, that's your King of Wands, because the King of Wands represents spirituality. So, and I'm like, oh, I got it. And I was so like, I'm so honored that you're like even talking to me. I'm
honored, because I really, what you said at the beginning, I passionately believe that God's family is every person on the planet. We're all linked. We all have the same heart, the same aspirations and hopes and dreams. We're all together. The languages we speak, the cultures we come from, that's like the garden, full of wonderful varieties. Thank goodness God didn't just make tulips. God made everything that's various and kaleidoscopically different. Human beings are the same, and it's wonderful to reach out, because you're blessed by them. Hopefully they're blessed by you. It creates a mutual enhancement, a journey together of love and happiness.
So Bishop, you really lean into the radicalness of Christianity, the radicalness of spirituality. And today, I think there's a huge fight between religion or religious leaders and spirituality. What's your take on the radicalness of that, and how it's not the same but the same?
Yes.
Is that a good way to put it? I don't know.
Well, I'm always befuddled and bemused, because when you say radical, people often call the things I'm saying radical. To me, is it radical to be loving? I mean, all I'm focusing on is to be loving, to be kind, compassionate, merciful, to live a good life that brings benefit to other people and cherishes the world and all nature and all life, to live a life that is beautiful on the planet. Is that radical? I mean, people think it's radical because you're not banging on about religion and forcing people into church and requiring them to say prayers and, all the man-made muscle stuff. You're just talking about love. But yes, that can be radical. To me, it's just natural.
Right. No, I agree with you. I mean, I think Lana and I are in that same boat, and it's that energy. If you give out good energy and love, that's what you get back. But yeah, I would say today, in today's world, how twisted and turned it is. It is radical. Right?
Yeah, it is radical.
The Age of Aquarius, according to astrology, started at in right during the middle of the pandemic, December of 2020. And I've always told people that when it's all said and done, the only thing that matters is love. And anything that is not love will not stand. That is why the corporations are crumbling. That is why the governments are crumbling. That is why the financial institutions are crumbling, because they're corrupt and because they don't exhibit love. That is what I have been telling all of my followers this whole time. That's what's going on. So when I do my predictions, I'm telling them, you have no idea the goodness that's coming. It's here. Now, Jesus told me he's here. He's working his work, and he says he's going to soften hearts. He's been here. I want to say he's been here this whole time. But it's just now taking hold. I don't know what's your viewpoint on all that?
Well, the sort of immanence of God in Jesus, because if you have an overview of that, the Spirit of God in love is abroad within everyone and everything, then the presence of the Christ. People say, when people ask me, when is Jesus coming? I say, Jesus has come back. The Christ is here. And don't just look for Christ in Christian circles. You can find Christ in Muslims, in Hindus, in Zoroastrians, in atheists, in agnostics, in witches and pagans and Satanists. You can find Christ everywhere if you have eyes to see Christ and a heart open to Christ. Because that message of love and goodness, they're like the colored threads, the golden and silver light that's being woven all over the world. And if we're working together, then that creates a tapestry that's shining with light.
I have a person that said to me, what do you think of this? When I said Jesus came to me, and people think first of all, I didn't even consider myself really, I was raised Christian, but I was more Buddhist, if anything. And when he came, I was surprised. And I had someone say to me, that's Satan, and he's tempting you. Satan will appear in many ways. What's your theory on that one?
Well, I tell you, the strange thing is that in the TikTok, I've been shocked by the incredible aggression, unkindness, violation, and homophobia that's come from the Christian community. I've met Satanists who say that they are Satanists. They call themselves Satanists. In reaction to that, they fled from the hatred of Christianity. And the way they describe their understanding of the way they're espousing Satanism is almost what a good, well, it's what a good Christian should be. Letting people live, being kind, being concerned, being just, being thoughtful. I'm saying, well, you're describing Christian discipleship. And they've gone to the opposite because they're terrified of this hateful message that's coming from Christians. It's a madness, And Jesus never looked, he was never put off by external sounds or rituals. He looked into the heart, into the mind. If he saw beauty and love and kindness there, wherever it came from, that's where he found God.
Yes.
I'm an ordained deacon in the Episcopal Church here in the United States, right? And I have fought a lot with churches, all denominations, because I always say that Christians here in the United States, I've never been outside the United States, so fight so hard for eternity rather than living a good life on earth, which is what Christ has called them to do, right? And that's when they start pointing fingers and damning people, quote unquote, you know what I mean? And I get so frustrated, and not just, not just the people who wear collars. I'm talking about grandma and grandpa who, sit in the back row every Sunday. This is a battle that I'm like, why are you so, Jesus died for my sins. Guess what? God loves me. I need to live a godly life here on earth, and whatever comes. Right. And Lana, you and I have had a lot of conversations about stuff like that. And it's so hard for people to understand, to feel. But then when you meet a person like yourself, Bishop, and you're like, gets it.
Yes.
Gets it. Right.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes. When I first talked to you, remember I told you I was a psychic and a medium. I wasn't sure how you're going to react to me because everybody tells I'm going to hell. That's Christian. And even though I can pull out several passages, one out of Corinthians, saying that, yes, this is a blessing from God. These people must be tested to see if they are real. That's basically, if I'm paraphrasing. And so I just wanted to ask you, what do you think the future is of the Christian church? What do you think's what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? Are people going to start to open their hearts? They're going to find that it's love and that's what it matters. What do you think?
I think there's a massive crisis because I think religions are in decline. I think Christianity is in decline because it's refused to evolve its message and to, in a sense, take the modern insights that would refresh its message. So it's become really antiquated, out of touch, prejudiced, bigoted. It's become a representative of that which we've left in wisdom because the Christ, in all the manifestations of Christ throughout the world, throughout different cultures and faiths, that Christ has led us to new boundaries. Like in England, we've got equal marriage legislation, a tremendous achievement. Christ's been up there pushing those boundaries. The church is way, way behind. So it's out of touch. Unless it reforms, it'll just hemorrhage support more and more and more. Because when God looks down, God's not, it's like brands, companies, multinationals fighting for, in a sense, a client base. They're trying to push their message, push their institution. God's not interested in any of that sort of male muscularity. God's interested in the heart. What you do, how you live your life, how loving you are, the community that you're creating, the beauty that you're, in a sense, manifesting upon earth. That's what matters, and that's only what matters.
Yeah, I find it interesting that the Age of Aquarius is, and if I'm assuming you might not know much about astrology. I don't know if you know much, but the last age was Piscean. Piscean is the fish, which is Christ. And so going to the Age of Aquarius, religion is supposed to fade away and spirituality is supposed to take over. So it's going exactly like the astrology says. And I used to be like the biggest skeptic of astrology, but I've had so many bizarre occurrences looking at a chart, knowing this is going to happen, and it happens exactly what the chart says. And I think that if this kind of stuff was given to us by God anyway, for like we want to take a little bit of a blueprint and kind of like look at stuff and say, hey, this may happen. You know, there's many different ways. Some people, many religions believe in some of this, some don't. I don't know if it really all matters all that much, but I just think it's interesting that there's a direct correlation between what the astrology is saying and what is happening right now.
Because all these things, I think, are, in a sense, allegories, metaphors, ways of trying to understand the numinous and the mystical to make sense of it so that we can, in a sense, talk about it and relate to it and draw resource from it. Yes. But it has to be a good representation, which is going to assist us, not hinder us. And a lot of the things that by which we describe God and express our spirituality from the past has been a projection of that which existed then. It no longer exists. So we can't take on those clothes. They don't fit anymore. There have to be new clothes. And if there aren't, people will find their own and create their own. And in a sense, the poetry of that discovery of the spiritual journeys of exploration that people are making is wonderful. It's refreshing. It's life-giving. And as I said, I think Christ is right in the heart of it from my own tradition. It's not threatened by it. Christ is, in a sense, the instigator and the resourcer of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So some of your other beliefs, I just really quick so that people can, because I kind of, the more I listen to you, the more I realize that I must be Episcopalian. You know what I'm saying? And what's your viewpoint about like things like abortion? What's Jesus told me it doesn't matter because he's worried about who's here, who's starving to death every day. That's what he told me. I don't know. What's your viewpoint? What do you feel is,
Well, just to start off, to make it very clear, then to go a bit of make another comment, I'm absolutely 100% a believer in that it's the woman's right to choose, and the woman has to choose and be in charge of her own body. It's a deeply, obviously significant, traumatic, complicated decision to make, and the woman making it needs all the love and support around her as she makes it, but it is the woman's right to choose. And the thing that I think is so offensive is that men, because it was men, create a male religion, a male-centered religion, have a male-centered God, which is a projection of their dominance and patriarchy and hierarchy, and then men use that God to dictate to women, set and prescribe for women, use their legislative power, electoral power, institutional and religious power to harass and oppress women. And all of that, I think, is so violating and objectionable. That's why I uphold totally the woman has the right to choose and must always be given that respect.
I know that you had you had mentioned, and I agree, that that women in Christian religion are equals in every way, shape, and form, and in some ways even more important or dominant. So explain that a little bit to everybody, because I totally agree with this. By reading, people need, what I find, people will spout Bible verses that they have been told, but they've never read the whole Bible themselves. And discover what they're taken out of context,
I mean, it's so dangerous and damaging that the Bible, that men created a male God. Men wrote a male text with male approaches to society, sexuality, identity, and everything. And then men, in a sense, have used that to dominate, oppress, and hound women throughout the ages. And today, on my TikToks, they'll come on, for instance, and quote Sodom and Gomorrah against homosexuality, and they'll quote it, and I say, well, I'm sorry. The greatest offense within that story is that Lot, who is the apparent hero, the male hero of the story, he put his daughters out to be raped by the marauding crowd, and then he himself raped and impregnated his daughters. You've not mentioned that. How come you've not mentioned that? That violating of women has been, in a sense, completely overlaid by your obsession about that story. And that happens throughout the Bible. It's written by men. It's dominated by male stories. The wonderful thing is that Jesus, seeing that corruption, had a totally different approach. And
Yeah.
lots of the things he did haven't been reported and been covered over. But the one thing that remains so powerfully is the first person he showed himself to in resurrection form was Mary. And the first person he appointed to be an apostle was Mary. The person he founded the church upon was Mary, a woman, in total contravention of all of that patriarchy. So that is what we hold on to. Jesus gave us the vision of total gender equality. And then, of course, men took it over because they were too threatened and crushed the tradition of Mary and said, no, God founded the church on men.
Exactly. I have a question for you, and I want your opinion on this because I've studied this and I'm very much in tune with this. That during the time that they talk about Jesus being gone, Buddhists believed that Jesus was with Buddha, and they refer to him as Saint Isu. And I want to, and if you think about it, Jesus' ideas are they have a lot of Buddhist ideology in them. What's your take on that?
Well, the powerful message, people say that the Bible is the word of God, totally misunderstanding.
Yes.
The Logos is the word of God. What is the Logos? The Logos is the way God communicates in our understanding. Mm-hmm. The communication is where we find God to be. We found God in Jesus because Jesus was a loving person exuding goodness. We find love, the Logos, in the Buddha. We find the Logos in lots of spiritual people from different traditions and in people of our own day, and people shining with the light of goodness around us. The Logos is how God reaches out to us, and that is a constant conversation. And that's what's so strange. People want to listen to this sort of recorded and distorted script from the past, which is dead and covered in cobwebs. They don't want to listen to the Logos, the conversation God's having with us today. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. And I
well, that's the frustration that I get is that humans try to shrink my God into an understandable being.
Yeah.
And when they label God a he, a she,
exactly.
whatever, he said, he thinks. I'm like, boy, that makes my God awfully small, and I can't fathom that.
Yes.
Right. My God is far, far bigger than that. And, on Judgment Day, when I show up to, meet the Lord, I may go, okay, or, ooh, guess why?
Yes.
Guess why throughout history, you couldn't look God directly at God, right? I mean, because I can look directly at you, Lana. I can look directly at you, Bishop Blake, and say, there you are. You're an image of God. But I can't look at God because my God is huge. The energy that flows is immense.
Yes.
And I get very, very irritated with people who label with a pronoun God.
He or she, yeah. I've always felt that God, he's neither male nor female. He's both. And he's neither. And he's both. And he's neither. Because a male and a female, that you become male or female so that you can procreate. God can with a wisp of his hand can create anything. So why would he need to be male or female? That's what I always say. And people think that's so radical, and I don't think that's radical at all. I think it's real. So you know what I'm saying?
I agree. And the difficulty is I find that whenever you put the television on, whenever you put the radio on, every media, when any religious person comes on, nearly 99.9%, they're saying prayers to God the Father. They're talking about the male God. They're describing God in very male attributes with male characteristics. It's all he. And it's sticking in my throat. I'm wanting to scream and say, why are you indoctrinating the present generation with a male, masculine, gendered God? It's an offense. It's a distortion. It's a blasphemy. It's idolatry. But the church continues to do it. And I say, how on earth do you think you're going to be able to access the modern world presenting a male God to them? It's an insanity.
Yes.
That's that's the issue that I've gotten myself into a little bit of trouble with some churches.
I've gotten I pick people, and I'm sure you said that you've been having some problems with TikTok, I've had a lot of I've got people that are actually literally going, they literally go after me, and I keep going and blocking them, and they make new accounts, and that's what I've had problems with. And I don't I'm so happy you were here. I will not take any more of your time. I know you are. Sean is like, I love this guy. Yeah. I got you some followers, Archbishop, because I'm telling you, whatever he says, you guys have to watch this guy. I was so moved by you that I had to bring you on.
Well, I'm touched, very moved, and very grateful. And it's lovely that our spirits are as one, because it's like the rainbow joining. It's the hands reaching across different approaches, but finding no difficulty, no contradiction, just harmony, happiness. Then we dance together on the journey of love.
I say that the next, as a person who does predictions, I don't know why I get them, and I don't know why I do them, but I do have a fairly high accuracy rate. Kent can attest to this. And I say in the next 20 years, you're going to see more and more of this viewpoint. Yeah. You're going to start to see it. Yes.
Hopefully. Listen, Archbishop Jonathan Blake, anytime you want to jump on to 216 The Net, there's always a space for you here. So
that's lovely. I'm so grateful. I really appreciate that.
Truly grateful for your time and being able to meet you. Continue walking in the light and just changing the world as you're doing.
That's lovely. And God bless you, and love to all. Love to all the world. That's what matters.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Life-changing, you guys. Like, I've talked to him twice now, and he's just the coolest guy ever. I'm so honored. Now, remember, did I mention it to you that I said somebody famous? I told you before, somebody famous would be on my podcast, and I didn't know who.
I thought you were talking about me.
Well, I thought maybe it was like a famous actor. No, I get like an archbishop. You know what I'm saying, you guys? This is not a small thing. Check him out on his he's on Archbishop Jonathan Blake on TikTok.
Like, follow, YouTube. Subscribe.
Yep, hit subscribe to him too.
Yeah.
All right. So that's about that time. I know you've been waiting, because I can see a whole handful of people on TikTok waiting for me for questions. So it's about that time. So go ahead, start asking your questions. I've only got 15 minutes. I'm only going to answer about 10 of them. Okay. All right. So go ahead. You guys have questions?
All right, here we go. Just real quick, YouTube TV says I completely relate to everything he's saying. Great job, TV. And Sarabi, good morning, says, will my brother, Sarav, get a government job in the next year?
Yes. Right. I want to say something's at least he's going to get the interview, and it might be a little delayed, but I want to say something's in May. Okay. Nice.
Hey, and Ishka says, hey, it's me. I'm just on another.
Oh, okay. You're okay. Oh, okay. they do that a lot. And it's so funny because if you guys don't know, I've got 3 or 4 cameras on me all the time. So I can see people go back and forth. They'll go to Instagram, then they'll go to YouTube, then they'll go back to TikTok, then they'll go, and it goes back and forth and back and forth. And right now I'm on 7, including Clapper. I'm starting to hit I believe this is one other prediction. Believe this to me, write this down. Clapper is going to be the next one that takes off.
The Clapper.
Clap
on.
Yep.
All right.
I know. Clap on. You know what? When you get messages from them, that's what you hear. Yeah, it's funny.
Nothing shut off here. All right. Ishika says, my question is, do you see me getting called for another interview after the interview I gave today?
They have not decided yet. They are interviewing 2 or 3 other people. You're going to have contact. It might be by email or something within 2 to 4 days or so. I'm not sure if it's another interview or they just want to talk to you, but it's something about an email. It seems like it's written. Okay, Ishika. All right.
There we go.
Okay, hold on, you guys. Hold on. Will you hit your goal weight in the next few months? Brenda. You're going to have that last 12, not 15, but 12 pounds. It's going to be really hard. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it. Okay. But you're going to have that, or you're going to go up and down by 12 pounds. Hey, I understand. If you guys don't know, If you're going to get schedule a reading with me, you need to do it now, because I'm going to be in 12 weeks. I'm getting weight loss surgery and I'm going to be down. So I have a lot of people that do their yearly readings. You get with that, you get 12 5-minute tarot card pulls, and you get an astrology kind of background. You get a numerology, you get your life path number. You get a lot for it. So if you're interested in it, go to enchantedskye.com and look under yearly. They're not cheap, I'm going to be honest with you, but it takes me over a week to get them done. And I have to edit them, and then I send you the link, and you can watch the link on my YouTube whenever you want privately. There you go. So just remember that. Okay.
Linda says, I'm heading to California the end of the month. Will it be a fun trip or a shit show?
Linda.
It depends what part you're going to. If you're, in San Francisco, it could be, because there's a lot of poop on the side.
Well, Linda, I do want to say you're going to have a lot of traffic problems. You are. So I don't know where you're going in California. Well, I know Northern California isn't that crowded, but there's a lot of traffic that you're going to be shocked by or surprised by. I don't know where you're living now. I've forgotten. I know her pretty well, but I can't remember but it seems like you're going to be like, wow, look at this traffic. Like, wow. Other than that, I think you're okay. It seems like there's just traffic jams. I just picked that up. So, and we all know California's like that anyway. That's so, okay.
That's right. All right. Angela says, should I look for a better paying job?
Yes. What you're going to do is possibly find something that's going to be a hybrid. You might start working part-time somewhere leading to full-time. That might be what you end up doing. It might even be a small business you end up going full-time with, but you're going to end up doing a lot of it online. And I think it might be from home. It seems like you're on a computer a lot. So, okay. So look into that and start keeping your eyes peeled. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Teresa Campbell says, husband is going to his surgeon today, hoping they give him more time to heal before they send him back to work. Do you see positive news for my husband?
Okay. Hoping to give him more time to heal before they. Oh yeah, Teresa, I remember this situation. They're going to give him more time. He's got a couple. I see 2. So I don't know if it's 2 weeks or 2 months yet. Okay. And by the way, for you guys, that I made a prediction about the shutdown. And I first said, and if you look back, I said, it seems like it's going to go right to the minute, but I see 2. So I went on TikTok and I said, well, it could be like maybe 2 days. No, what I think it was, I heard 2, there's 2 shutdowns. I think that's what I'm pretty good at figuring out what they're talking about, but I didn't completely. So that you guys know that's where that 2 came from. So just let you know.
There we go. Fawn Bound says, do you see me getting promoted or finding a new job?
I think, Fawn, I feel like you're staying in the same job. I think there's a promotion. Mm-hmm. But it's not until, be patient. It's not coming for 6 months or more. Okay. Sorry, Fawn. I wish I could tell you better, but yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Amber says, hey, just got the assistant manager job for the bakery department in the store she works at.
Good.
How do you see that going for me? Good? Bad?
Good. You got 2 people that are big pains in the butts that are going to give you a hassle. You're the boss now. You put them in their place. They've been there a long time. I don't know if they're older than you, but they're going to try to give you, a hard time. Don't put up with it.
Kill them with kindness.
Yep. But don't put up with it either.
Be firm, but kill them with kindness.
Yep.
That's it. And Jessica Aga Wozniak says, do my ancestors have a message for me?
Are you Native American or anything? Or is one of your guides Native American? I'm getting Native American stuff, like really, really heavy. Are you really in? Because genetically, I'm not, but I have been in a last lifetime. I know in my last lifetimes, I've been Native American. I've been put under many, many times. And one of my guides is now. And
she's
so
Polish.
I can.
That's what she said. She's Polish.
Polish. Wozniak is Polish. I don't know why I want to say your guide is a Native American. I want you to explore that a little, because I'm getting that very heavily. I see the feathers. I see leather, and maybe it's from a last lifetime, but it's a guide. And they're saying that you need to be outside more. You need to be digging in the dirt. I know people like, really? You guys do realize that digging in the dirt releases serotonin, and
So
that's
good
why
for
everybody gardens, right?
So good for you.
It's very good for you. And if not, then what you need to do is at least be walking in the dirt barefoot. There's something about you needing to be outside more. That's what they're telling me. Okay.
Good morning.
Or working with animals. There's something animals, and it all goes together, nature and okay.
TV over there, YouTube TV says some nurses went on strike this morning too.
Yes, they did. I predicted this. In my podcast, look that up, Kent. I predicted there'd be a major company going on strike this year. And I said, and I know that when one of these huge companies go, it causes a snowball effect. Yeah. And I know I predicted it in my January podcast. There'd be one large company. Like, remember I said that I figured Starbucks would go on strike, which they did. I keep track of it because I'm not supposed to be talking about politics.
That's right.
On
not on our station.
On the net, right. But I can't help it because that's my predictions. I specialize in politics.
We are all about good energy. That's why we had the Archbishop on. We bring somebody in with that kind of energy. Please, we don't need to dampen it with that puke talk of idiots. All right. Anyway, will I get a sufficient raise at the end of the year? Tracy, 7 Trace. Good morning, says
Tracy. Are you getting a bonus? Is that what is that it considered a bonus? Because it seems like there's a bonus or something. I don't know does that make sense?
Could be. Amber says, yeah, I think I know one of the persons who will be a pain in my ass. It'll be interesting to see who the other could be.
Okay. Yeah. I told you, I feel the energy is what I'm doing, guys. I'm reading energy around a situation. So,
will the Chicago Bears ever have a football team? No, I'm just kidding.
What?
She said maybe. Trace said
okay,
maybe on the bonus.
Okay. That's okay. That makes sense. Okay, Tracy, I just wanted to let you know. Well, I'm a Packer fan, darling. So, they're not doing that great. I'm not really impressed at all with anybody. So at this point, rebuilding year, right?
Huda LaCroix, good morning, says, we are supposed to get raises across the board this fall. What percentage do you think?
Could it possibly be about 8%, Huda?
Yeah.
Here, there's an 8. An 8%? Or is it like 6.8? You know what I'm saying? It could be something like I see there's an 8 involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amber says, and I remember the question. She says, I showed my mom what you said last week about my grandmother shaking her finger and telling my aunts to stop. And she said that was spot on.
Okay. Thank you, Amber.
Yeah.
Hey, I just repeat what they say. That's the
right.
thing. I'm just, as a medium, I'm the go-between. That's what that really means, is a go-between. Okay. Right. All right. I'm going to take a couple off of TikTok. And I'm going to take one off of Clapper. You ever got any questions on Clapper? Go ahead and ask. Okay. I've got Jonathan wants to know if he's going to find a partner. You have somebody coming next year. I want to say the second half, maybe July. I know that sounds far away. Sorry, but that's one of the major people. Okay. Second half of the year. Okay. All right.
Nice. Hey, everybody, if you've got a question for Lana, this is the place to ask it. Be very specific. Got a ton of people out here, ton of people following, listening, a lot of energy. Yes. But if you are in a place where you can ask a question, please reach out to her and book a reading with her. And Panta, hey, how are you?
Oh, hey, Panta.
Hello from
I haven't
Holland.
Heard from you forever. How are you?
Look at all these people from the other side of the pond that are dialing in. Absolutely love it. We're in the 4th quarter of the calendar year. Yep. Very important stuff always happens in time to prime for the beginning of 2024.
Well, which you gotta know astrologically, we've talked about this before, that if you guys are planning what you're going to do and try to achieve in 24, Pluto goes direct at the end of January, so that if you're planning it now, you'll put it in place and it'll all happen just like you want.
Huge.
And we're talking huge, guys. This whole thing with Pluto going direct lasts for 20 years. You're going to see stuff that's going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. You're gonna
This
see
is
stuff that's
this.
awesome. Okay.
She says hello, greetings, and she says she's doing great.
Good.
Missed all the live events.
You know what? Yeah, it's okay. You know, I see that a lot of people will check them out like after I'm off. It's 9:30 in the morning. You know, it's only 7:30 in California, and
it's in the evening over there, right? 6-8 hours difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're 8 out. They're 6 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know, because I deal with so many people from all over the world. I know what Taiwan is 23 hours. Australia is 24. I know Sydney, Australia is 24 because I deal with so many. But to let everybody know, I'm also I'm not doing a lot of lives. I'm doing this live, and this I'll always do. But I haven't been doing like paid mini readings because I think it's better to talk one-on-one with you.
Yeah. And
I dropped my price a little. So check me out if you want a 15-minute, quick read. It's well worth your money compared to what I've been doing. I decided it wasn't what I wanted. I wasn't connecting with people. Yeah. So check out on Enchantedskye. Okay.
Hey, listen, this brings us right to the back end of the show here. What an incredible show. We got to thank our good friend Archbishop Jonathan Blake, from the Open Episcopal Church, for spending some time with us this morning and getting his word of love out there, and realizing that, you know what, Lana, you're not too far off the mark, are you? But if you didn't catch all the show, you can go out to Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that Lana's at, all those, and you can catch this episode as well. Just great stuff. For all of us here at 21.6 Net, we can't thank you enough for getting caught in the net. And until next week, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.